It was a perfect summer afternoon. The sun was glinting off the water, the lake was calm, and my boat, my pride and joy, rested at the dock, freshly polished and gleaming. I had spent hours cleaning it, making sure every inch of the hull shone. Every cushion was spotless. Finally, it was ready for a quiet weekend ride. But peace, as it often does, was not meant to last. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a commotion near the dock. Karen's sisters appeared, striding down the walkway with an air of entitlement so thick it could be cut with a knife. Behind them trailed a crowd of friends, coolers, grills, speakers, and what looked like a small festival's worth of supplies. One of them, the loudest and most dramatic, clapped her hands and announced, "We're taking your boat for a party." I froze. "Wait, what? That's my boat. You can't just—" "Oh, relax," another chimed in. "The HOA said it's fine. We're just borrowing it." I wanted to argue, but before I could get a word in, they were already loading everything onto my boat. Ice chests, food, folding chairs, and far more people than it could safely hold. I counted them mentally, 10, 15, maybe 20, and realized with horror that this was going to end badly. "Guys, seriously, you're overloading it," I shouted. "Overloading? Nah, it'll be fine," they laughed. They climbed aboard like it was a floating amusement park ride, while I stood helplessly on the dock, watching the boat start to sway ominously. At first, it seemed almost surreal. Music blared, people were dancing, and the boat creaked under the sudden weight. I tried to reason with them again. "Step off, this isn't safe. You're going to tip it." But they didn't hear me. The party was in full swing, and my warnings were drowned out by laughter, shouting, and the pounding bass of their speakers. I stepped back, gripping the railing, watching physics take its inevitable course. Then came the sound I knew all too well, a deep, threatening creak followed by a sharp crack. The boat shuddered violently. For a moment, it seemed like time slowed. The cooler teetered on the edge. A bag of chips flew through the air. Someone screamed, and then, splash! Half the party went into the lake. Chairs, coolers, and people tumbled into the water as shrieks and laughter filled the air. I couldn't help but smirk as soaked, humiliated partygoers scrambled back to the dock, dripping and cursing. Karen's sisters clung desperately to the railing, their hair plastered to their faces, their dresses soaked, their pride sunk lower than the boat's hull. I calmly walked down the dock, holding a towel and a grin. "Looks like my boat wasn't built for a floating festival," I said. "Next time, maybe ask before claiming someone else's property." They glared, muttering threats under their breath, but it was impossible to stay mad at the absurdity of the scene. Neighbors who had gathered along the shore were laughing and filming everything on their phones. By the time the HOA got involved, the photos and videos were already making the rounds online. Headlines like, "Boat Party Disaster," "Entitled Sisters Take a Splash," were trending in our little community. Karen's sisters never lived down the embarrassment. Every time they tried to step foot near the dock, someone would whisper, point, or burst into laughter. And me? I got to enjoy my boat in peace once again, the water calm, the sun shining, and my property respected. At least until the next HOA drama. Lesson learned. Some people think rules are optional, but physics never lies.